I'm sitting here in the dark again, and I can't tell you exactly when this became my habit, sitting up past midnight, with just the lamp on the side table throwing shadows on the wall. My wife passed 11 years ago, and the house got quiet in a way I wasn't ready for. You think you know what quiet means, but you don't. Not really. Not until you're the only one breathing in all these rooms. I keep thinking about my son, Marcus. He's 53 now, got grey coming in at his temples same way mine did, back when I still had hair worth talking about. He calls me every Sunday, has for years, ever since his mother died. We talk about the weather, about his kids, my grandkids, about work, about nothing much at all. Good conversations. Easy. The kind a father and son should have. But I'm carrying something, and I've been carrying it for 17 years now, and I don't know if I'll ever put it down. 17 years is a long time to hold your tongue. Long time to know something that could break somebody and choose silence instead. Every Sunday when the phone rings and I see his name on the screen, I think about telling him. Every time I see him at Christmas or Thanksgiving when we're sitting on my back porch with our coffee, I think maybe this is the moment. Maybe today's the day I stop being a coward. But I never do. See, I found out something about his wife, Lisa. Found out she'd been sleeping with his best friend, with Jerome, and not just sleeping with him, but carrying on with him for years. Maybe since before Marcus even married her. And I found this out by accident, the way you find out most things that ruin you when you're not even looking for it. It was March when I found out. March of 2009. Cold that year, colder than usual for Tennessee. I remember because I'd gone over to their house to help Marcus with some work on the deck, just routine maintenance, checking for rot, treating the wood. Lisa said she had errands to run, and Marcus got called in to work. He was managing a distribution center back then, always getting called in for something. So it ended up just being me at the house, which was fine. I didn't mind working alone. I was out back, had been at it maybe 2 hours, and I needed to use the bathroom. Let myself in through the kitchen door, took my boots off like I always did because Lisa kept the house nice, and I walked through to the hallway. Their bedroom door was open, and I don't know why I looked in. Maybe just habit, just checking. But I saw her phone on the nightstand, and it was lighting up with messages, just lighting up over and over, the way a phone does when someone's texting you rapid fire. I should have kept walking, should have minded my business. But the name on the screen caught my eye because I knew it. Jerome. Jerome, who'd been Marcus's best friend since they were 7 years old. Jerome, who'd been the best man at their wedding. Jerome, who came to our house for Christmas every year, who called me Uncle Ray even though we weren't blood, who I'd watched grow up alongside my son, 2 boys running through these same streets, playing basketball in our driveway, getting into the kind of trouble that makes you laugh when you remember it. I stood there, looking at that phone lighting up, and something in my gut told me not to look closer. Something in me knew that if I picked up that phone, if I read those messages, my life was going to change. My son's life was going to change. Everything was going to change. But I picked it up anyway. The phone wasn't locked, just opened right up. And the messages were right there, one after another, and I didn't have to scroll back far to understand what I was looking at. They were explicit, detailed, the kind of messages you send someone you're intimate with, someone you're comfortable with, someone who knows your body. They weren't new messages, weren't just starting. This was the middle of a conversation that had been going on for a long time. I scrolled back, kept scrolling. Messages going back months. Then I found messages from the year before, then the year before that. I sat down on the edge of their bed with that phone in my hand, and I just kept scrolling, and my hands were shaking, and I felt sick, actually sick, like I might throw up right there on their carpet. They'd been together for years, years. While Marcus was at work, while he was out of town on business trips, while he was trusting his wife and his best friend the way you're supposed to be able to trust the people you love. They had hotels they went to. They had times they'd meet up. They had codes, little ways of talking around it when Marcus was nearby. And what got me, what really got me, was how casual it all seemed, like it was just part of their routine, like it was normal. I put the phone back exactly where I found it, walked out of that house, forgot about the deck, forgot about the tools I'd left in the backyard, just got in my car and drove. Don't even remember where I went. Just drove around for hours until it got dark, until I knew Lisa would be home, until I knew I couldn't go back there without my face showing everything I knew. When I got home that night, I sat in this same chair I'm sitting in now, and I tried to figure out what to do, tried to figure out what a father does with this kind of information. Because that's what I am first, before anything else. I'm Marcus's father. That's the job I've had longer than any other job in my life. And even though he's grown, even though he's got his own house and his own family and his own life, I'm still his father, still supposed to protect him. But how do you protect your son from something like this? How do you tell him his wife's been unfaithful, that his best friend betrayed him, that the two people he trusted most in the world have been lying to him for years? How do you break your child's heart, even when that child is 50 years old? I kept thinking, maybe I was wrong. Maybe I'd misunderstood. Maybe there was some explanation that made sense, some way those messages could mean something other than what they obviously meant. I went over it in my mind 1,000 times that night, looking for any other possibility. But there wasn't one. I thought about calling Marcus right then, thought about driving over there and pulling him aside, man to man, father to son, and just telling him straight. That's what I should have done. That's what a good father would have done. But I didn't. I told myself I needed time to think, needed to figure out the right way to handle it, needed to be sure. The truth is, I was scared, scared of hurting him, scared of what would happen to his marriage, to his kids. They had 2 kids then, teenagers, scared of how it would tear apart not just his family, but our whole family. Because Lisa was part of us by then, and Jerome was practically family too, and everything would shatter, all of it, every connection, every relationship, every Sunday dinner, every Christmas morning, all of it would be gone. So I waited, told myself I'd find the right time, the right way. But days turned into weeks, and weeks turned into months, and the longer I waited, the harder it got to say anything at all. Because now, it wasn't just about what Lisa and Jerome had done. It was also about what I'd done, which was nothing, which was keep a secret that would have mattered more the moment I found out than it would a month later, or 6 months later, or a year later. Marcus called me the next Sunday, same as always, asked how I was doing, told me about his week, said he appreciated me coming over to help with the deck, apologized that he'd had to leave me there alone, I listened to his voice, heard how easy he sounded, how happy, and I couldn't find the words. Just couldn't do it. Every Sunday after that was the same. Every visit, every phone call, every Christmas, every birthday, I'd look at him and think, today's the day. Today I'll tell him. But then I'd see him smiling, see him with his arm around Lisa, see him laughing at something Jerome said, and I'd think about what my words would do to that smile. And I'd stay quiet. 17 years now. 17 years of knowing. 17 years of every conversation feeling like a lie. Because I'm holding back the biggest truth there is. 17 years of watching him live his life not knowing what I know, not seeing what I see, not carrying what I'm carrying. I don't sleep much anymore. Part of that's age. You get to be 78, your body doesn't sleep the way it used to. But part of it's this. It's lying in bed in the dark, knowing what I know, replaying that day over and over, seeing those messages light up that phone, feeling that sick feeling in my stomach, like it's happening again right now. Sometimes I think about what my wife would have said. Dorothy, she'd have known what to do. She always knew what to do when it came to Marcus, knew how to handle the hard things, knew when to push and when to hold back. When Marcus was 16 and got a girl pregnant, Dorothy was the one who sat him down and talked him through it, helped him understand what being a man meant, what responsibility meant. When he lost his first real job because he couldn't control his temper, Dorothy was the one who helped him see his part in it, helped him grow up a little more. She'd have known what to do about this. But Dorothy died 2 years before I found out, and I've had to figure this out alone. And clearly, I haven't figured out anything at all, because I'm still sitting here in the dark 17 years later with the same secret I started with. I wonder sometimes if Lisa knows that I know, if she saw something in my face that day, if she noticed her phone had been moved, if she sensed something different in how I talked to her after that. We still see each other, still have polite conversations, still hug at family gatherings. I look at her and I think about those messages, about how easily she lied to my son, how naturally the deception came to her, and I don't understand it. Don't understand how you do that to someone you promised to love. And Jerome. God, Jerome. I've known that boy since he was 7 years old, watched him grow up. His mama died when he was 12, and we sort of took him in, not officially, but he was at our house all the time, eating dinner with us, spending the night, coming on family trips. He called me Uncle Ray, with this big smile, same smile he's still got. I taught him how to change a tire, how to tie a tie for prom, how to handle himself when the police pulled him over. Because they did, more than once, because that's what happens when you're a young black man driving through certain neighborhoods. He was like a second son to me, and he betrayed my actual son in the worst way a man can betray another man. Betrayed him with his wife, in his bed, in his life, and then kept showing up for Sunday dinners, kept coming to Christmas, kept calling me Uncle Ray like nothing was happening, like he wasn't destroying his best friend's life one hotel room at a time. I see him maybe 3 or 4 times a year now. He and Marcus don't hang out like they used to. Life got busy. They both had families, drifted a bit the way friends do when they get older. But they still talk, still consider each other close. Marcus mentioned just last month that Jerome helped him move some furniture, spent the whole day doing it, wouldn't take any money. And I smiled and said that was nice of him. That's what I said. That was nice of him. What I wanted to say was, he's been sleeping with your wife for years. He's not your friend. He's not your brother. He's the man who's been betraying you since before you even knew what betrayal could look like. He's taken things from you that you can't get back. Moments and trust and truth. And he's smiled in your face the whole time. But I didn't say any of that. Just said it was nice of him to help with the furniture. You get good at that after a while. Get good at saying the things you're supposed to say instead of the things you mean. Get good at keeping your face neutral, keeping your voice steady, keeping everything locked up tight inside where nobody has to see it. My son trusts me. That's what makes this so hard. He trusts me completely, the way a son should trust his father. When he needs advice, he calls me. When he's worried about something, when he's trying to make a decision, when he just needs someone to listen, I'm the one he talks to. And every time, every single time, I'm aware that I'm giving him advice while keeping the biggest, most important piece of information from him. I'm letting him make decisions about his life, about his marriage, about his future, without knowing the truth that would change everything. 3 years ago, Marcus and Lisa went through a rough patch. He told me about it, called me late one night, voice all tight and stressed the way it gets when he's really upset. Said they'd been fighting, said things felt different between them, said he didn't know what to do. He asked me if I thought they should try counseling, if I thought marriages could come back from feeling distant. And I told him yes. I told him every marriage goes through hard times. I told him his mother and I had rough patches too, that it was normal, that the important thing was to keep trying, keep working at it. I told him Lisa was a good woman, that they had a good foundation, that they'd figure it out. I lied to him, lied straight to his face or his voice on the phone, my son asking me for help and me feeding him lies because the truth was too big, too scary, too destructive. They did go to counseling, worked through it, whatever it was. Marcus called me a few months later, sounded better, said things were good again, said he was glad he'd fought for the marriage, glad he'd listened to me. I sat here in the dark that night too, after we hung up, and I felt like the worst father who ever lived, because I'd helped him save a marriage that maybe shouldn't be saved, helped him recommit to a woman who'd been cheating on him for years. And I don't even know if the affair was still going on then. Don't know if it ever stopped. Don't know anything except what I saw on that phone 17 years ago and everything I've imagined since. That's the thing about knowing something like this. It colors everything. Every smile Lisa gives Marcus, I wonder if it's real. Every time she touches his arm or kisses his cheek, I wonder if she's thinking about Jerome. Every family photo, every anniversary, every moment that's supposed to be about love and commitment, I see the lie underneath it. And I wonder if I'm the only one who sees it. If Marcus has any sense at all that something's wrong, any feeling that his wife isn't what she seems, any doubt creeping in at the edges. Or if he's just happy, just living his life, just trusting the people he loves, because that's what you do when you haven't been given any reason not to. I think about that day all the time, that day in March, standing in their bedroom with that phone in my hand. I think about the exact moment I decided to look at the messages instead of walking away, because if I'd walked away, I wouldn't know. I'd be free of this. I could talk to my son without this weight, could look Lisa in the eye without seeing those messages, could sit at family dinners without feeling like I'm participating in a lie. But I did look, and now I know. And knowing has changed me in ways I'm not even sure I understand yet. I used to be different before. Used to be easier, lighter, more present. Dorothy used to say I laughed like I meant it, like joy came natural to me. And it did, for a long time. I love my life, love my wife, love my son, love the simple fact of getting up every morning and having people to love, work, to do, purpose. But something's been missing since I found out. Some lightness I used to carry. Even before Dorothy died, even when things were good, I was carrying this thing, this knowledge, and it made me heavier, made everything heavier. Marcus noticed, asked me once, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, if I was okay, said I seemed distant, said he worried about me being alone, wondered if I was depressed. I told him I was fine, just getting older, just adjusting to life without his mother. He seemed to accept that, seemed satisfied. But he was right. I'm not okay. Haven't been okay since that day. I keep thinking about truth, about what it means, what it's worth. My whole life, I tried to be an honest man, tried to teach Marcus to be honest, to tell the truth even when it's hard, to stand up for what's right. And here I am, carrying a lie by omission for 17 years, letting my son live in a false reality because I'm too scared to give him the truth. What does that make me? What kind of father does that? What kind of man? I justify it to myself, sometimes. Tell myself I'm protecting him. Tell myself that knowing would hurt him more than not knowing, that ignorance is a kind of mercy. Tell myself that their marriage might be real now, even if it wasn't before, that maybe the affair ended years ago and they worked through it without him ever knowing, and me telling him now would just destroy something that's actually good. But I don't believe any of that. Not really. The truth is simpler and uglier. I'm a coward. I didn't tell him because I was scared. Scared of his pain, scared of the fallout, scared of watching his life fall apart and knowing I was the one who made it happen. Scared of losing the easy relationship we have, the Sunday phone calls, the comfortable conversations. Scared that if I tell him, he'll pull away from me, will associate me with the worst moment of his life, will never look at me the same way again. So I chose my comfort over his truth, chose my peace over his right to know. And I've been choosing it every day for 17 years. There's a thing that happens when you keep a secret this big. You start to forget what it was like before you knew it. Start to forget what your son's marriage looked like to you when you thought it was real, when you believed in it. Now when I look at pictures from before I found out, pictures from their wedding or from family vacations, I see the affair there, even though I didn't know about it then. I retroactively poison every memory with what I learned later. Their wedding was beautiful. I walked Lisa down the aisle because her father had passed the year before, and she asked me if I would. And I was honored. Felt like welcoming her into our family officially. I remember thinking Marcus had found someone special, someone who'd be a good partner to him, a good mother to their future children. I remember dancing with her at the reception, and she called me Dad, and I felt this warmth, this expansion of family, this sense that we were all connected now, in a good way. And now when I think about that day, all I can think is, was she already sleeping with Jerome? Or did it start later? Was she looking at Jerome during the ceremony? thinking about him while she was marrying my son? Or did it grow out of proximity and opportunity and some weakness in both of them that only showed up after vows were made? I don't know. We'll never know unless I ask. And I can't ask because asking means revealing, and revealing means destroying everything. Their kids are grown now. Tasha's 31, married, got a baby on the way, making me a great-grandfather, which feels impossible. David's 28, still single, working as a physical therapist in Atlanta. Good kids, smart, kind, got their heads on straight. They love their parents, both of them, think they have a good marriage, think their family is solid. What happens to them if the truth comes out? If Marcus finds out, decides to leave? If the family fractures? What happens to Tasha's baby, growing up knowing her grandparents on one side aren't together, maybe never talking to each other, maybe unable to be in the same room? What happens to David, trying to navigate relationships with both parents, trying to understand how the foundation of his childhood was built on lies? I think about this a lot. Think about all the people who'd be hurt, all the ways the truth would ripple outward, touching everyone. And I think maybe that's another reason I've stayed quiet. Because it's not just about Marcus anymore. It's about his kids and their kids and the whole structure of this family that we've built over decades. But then I think, is a family built on lies really a family at all? Or is it just people living next to each other, not knowing each other, performing connection without actually having it? I don't know the answer to that either. Sunday mornings are the hardest. That's when Marcus calls, usually around 10, after he's had his coffee, before he starts whatever he's got planned for the day. The phone rings and I see his name, and I have this moment every single time where I think, today I'll tell him. And then I answer, and I hear his voice, and he's my son, my boy. And I can't do it, can't bring myself to say the words that would break him. We talk about regular things. The weather. It's been raining a lot this winter, more than usual. His work. They're expanding the distribution center, adding new technology. The grandkids, Tasha's nursery is almost finished. David's thinking about buying a house. Lisa's garden. She's planning to put in raised beds this spring. I say the things I'm supposed to say. Ask the questions I'm supposed to ask. Laugh when something's funny. Make sympathetic sounds when something's hard. Participate in the fiction that everything is fine, that I don't know anything, that his life is what he thinks it is. And when we hang up, I sit here and I feel empty, hollow, like I just spent 30 minutes pretending to be someone I'm not. Sometimes I catch myself wondering if Marcus knows something, if he's got his own suspicions, his own doubts, if maybe he's seen something, noticed something, felt something off in his marriage, and if maybe he's doing the same thing I'm doing, choosing not to look too closely, choosing to believe the comfortable lie instead of investigating the uncomfortable truth. We could both be sitting in our separate houses, both knowing, both pretending we don't, both protecting each other from a truth we're actually both aware of. That's possible, maybe even likely. But I don't think so. When Marcus talks about Lisa, he sounds like a man who loves his wife, who trusts her, who isn't carrying any doubt or suspicion or pain. He sounds happy. And that happiness is real, even if the foundation of it isn't. Does that matter? If he's happy in his ignorance, if his life feels good to him, if he's not suffering, does it matter that it's based on lies? Am I protecting him by staying quiet, or am I protecting myself? I go back and forth on that question every day, every hour, never come to an answer that feels right. I saw Jerome last Christmas. He showed up at Marcus's house for dinner, same as always. Brought a bottle of wine, hugged everyone, shook my hand, called me Uncle Ray. We stood in the kitchen while Marcus was carving the turkey, just making small talk, and I looked at him and I thought, you betrayed the person who loved you most. You took your best friend's trust and you destroyed it, and you're standing here in his kitchen like you belong here. And Jerome smiled at me, that same easy smile he's always had, and he said, "It's good to see you, Uncle Ray. You're looking well." I wanted to hit him. 78 years old, haven't been in a fight since I was 19. But I wanted to hit him. Wanted to tell him exactly what I thought of him. Wanted to drag him outside and tell Marcus everything. Right there, right then. Consequences be damned. But I didn't. Just smiled back and said it was good to see him too. Later that night, after everyone had gone home, after I'd driven back to my house and sat down in this chair, I cried. First time I'd cried in years since Dorothy's funeral. Just sat here in the dark and let it come, all the anger and guilt and shame and grief I'd been holding. Let it pour out of me. Didn't help. Still felt the same after. Still carrying the same weight. The thing is, I know what Dorothy would say if she were here. I know because she told me once, years before she died, back when Marcus was going through a divorce from his first wife. I'd found out that the first wife was cheating. Different situation. Different woman. Lisa's not his first wife. I should have mentioned that. Marcus was married before, briefly, in his 20s. It didn't last 2 years. And I found out she was stepping out on him, and I struggled with whether to tell him, same as I'm struggling now. Dorothy said to me then, "Baby, you tell him. You tell him right now. Because if you don't, and he finds out you knew and stayed quiet, he'll never forgive you, and he'll be right not to." So I told him, sat him down, told him what I'd learned. And he was devastated, absolutely devastated. But he thanked me, said it was the hardest thing anyone had ever told him, but he needed to know. And he was grateful I loved him enough to tell him even though it hurt. That marriage ended. Marcus was a mess for a year or so, but he healed. Met Lisa a few years later, seemed to fall in love for real this time, seemed to find what he was looking for. And now here we are again. And I didn't take Dorothy's advice, did the opposite. And I think about what she said, that if he finds out I knew and stayed quiet, he'll never forgive me. And I know she was right then, and she'd be right now. But it's been so long, 17 years. How do you tell someone you've been keeping a secret that long? How do you explain that you've watched them live their life, helped them make decisions, given them advice, all while knowing this fundamental truth about their marriage and choosing not to share it? You can't. There's no way to explain that, no way to make it okay. So now I'm trapped between the wrong I'll do if I tell him and the wrong I've already done by not telling him. Either way, I'm failing him. Either way, I'm not the father I should be. I think about my own father sometimes. He died when I was 45, been gone over 30 years now. He was a hard man, not much for talking about feelings or getting into personal business, kept to himself, did his work, provided for the family. I used to wish he'd been different, more open, more available. Used to wish I could talk to him about real things, about struggles and fears and doubts. And now I wonder if he was keeping secrets too, if he knew things about my mother, about our family, about life that he never shared because he was trying to protect me or protect himself, or just didn't know how to say them. If maybe that distance I felt wasn't because he didn't care, but because he was carrying weight I couldn't see. I'll never know. He's gone. And when I'm gone, Marcus won't know either, unless I tell him, unless I find the courage to finally be honest. But I'm running out of time. 78 isn't old like it used to be. People live longer now, healthier. But it's not young either. I've got maybe 10 years, maybe 15 if I'm lucky. And I'll spend every one of them the way I've spent the last 17, sitting in the dark, holding this secret, dying a little bit more with every Sunday phone call. There's a version of me that never looked at that phone, that walked past the bedroom, used the bathroom, went back outside, finished working on the deck. That version doesn't know anything about Lisa and Jerome, doesn't carry this weight, can talk to his son without feeling like a liar, can sleep at night without replaying that moment over and over. I envy that version of me, would trade places with him in a heartbeat, but I'm not him. I'm this version, the one who looked, who knows, who's been sitting on the truth for 17 years and counting. This is who I am now. This is what I've become. My grandson David came to visit me last month. Just him, no one else. Which was nice. We don't get much one-on-one time anymore. He's a good kid. Smart. Funny. Got a good heart. We were sitting out back, drinking beer even though it was cold, just talking about life, and he said something that stuck with me. He said, "You know what I respect most about you, Grandpa? You're honest. You say what you mean. You don't play games." And I nodded and thanked him, and we moved on to other topics. But his words sat in my chest like stones. Because he's wrong. I'm not honest. I'm the opposite of honest. I'm a man sitting on the biggest lie of his life, letting everyone around me believe a fiction. And my grandson respects me for a quality I don't actually possess. That might be the worst part of all of this. Not just that I'm lying to Marcus, but that I'm allowing everyone to see me as someone I'm not, allowing them to trust a version of me that doesn't exist. I think about what it would take to tell him, the actual logistics of it. Would I call him, ask him to come over, take him out somewhere? What words would I use? How would I start? "Son, I need to tell you something about your wife. Marcus, I've been keeping something from you. 17 years ago, I found out Lisa was cheating. Every version sounds impossible. Every version sounds like it would destroy him. And that's what I'm most afraid of, I think. Not his anger, not him cutting me out of his life, not the family fracturing, though I'm afraid of all of that too. But what I'm most afraid of is seeing the look on his face when he realizes his wife, his best friend, and his father all betrayed him. When he understands that the three people he should have been able to trust most were all lying to him, in different ways, for years. I'm afraid that look will kill something in him, some fundamental trust in other people, in the world, in the possibility of real connection. I'm afraid it'll make him bitter, suspicious, closed off. I'm afraid it'll take the good man he is and turn him into someone harder, someone sadder, someone who can't love freely anymore, because he's learned that love means vulnerability, means pain. And I think, is it better for him to be happy and deceived, or devastated and informed? Is it better to live in a comfortable lie or a painful truth? I don't have an answer to that. Don't think there is a good answer. But I know that by not choosing, I've already made a choice, and that choice is to let him stay in the lie, to prioritize his ignorant happiness over his informed agency, to decide for him that he's better off not knowing, without asking him what he wants, without giving him the chance to make his own decision about his own life. That's a kind of theft, isn't it? Taking away someone's right to know the truth about their own existence, taking away their ability to make informed choices, to protect themselves, to live authentically. I've stolen that from my son, stolen 17 years of his life, where he could have known, could have decided for himself what to do, could have built something different. Or maybe not. Maybe he'd have stayed with Lisa anyway. Maybe they'd have worked through it, gone to counseling, rebuilt the marriage on a foundation of honesty instead of lies. Maybe his relationship with Jerome would have ended, but everything else would have survived. Maybe it wouldn't have been the catastrophe I've imagined all these years. I'll never know, because I didn't give him the chance. The house is so quiet right now. 3 a.m, nothing moving except me and whatever thoughts I can't turn off. I used to love this house. Dorothy and I bought it in 1972, raised Marcus here, had 30 years of good memories in these rooms. But now it feels like a mausoleum, a place where I'm keeping my secrets preserved, locked away from the light. Sometimes I think about writing it all down. A letter maybe that Marcus would find after I die, explaining what I knew, when I knew it, why I didn't tell him, giving him the truth finally, even if I'm too cowardly to give it to him while I'm alive. But that feels like even more of a betrayal, like I'd be dumping this on him when I'm not around to face the consequences, when he can't confront me, when he can't ask questions or yell at me or try to understand. That's not honesty. That's just cowardice with a delayed fuse. No, if I'm going to tell him, I need to do it face to face, need to look him in the eye and say the words and deal with whatever comes after. That's the only way that's even close to right. But I still haven't done it. Still sitting here, night after night, planning conversations I'll never have, rehearsing words I'll never say. I saw Lisa at the grocery store a few weeks ago. Random encounter, just both of us shopping at the same time. She smiled when she saw me, came over, gave me a hug, asked how I was doing, said Marcus was worried about me, said I should come over for dinner soon. And I hugged her back and said that sounded nice and asked about her garden plans for spring. Made pleasant conversation for 5 minutes in the produce section. Pretended everything was normal. When she walked away, I stood there looking at the tomatoes, and I felt this wave of exhaustion. Just bone-deep tiredness. The kind that has nothing to do with sleep. Tired of pretending. Tired of lying. Tired of being someone I'm not. But not tired enough to change anything. That's the truth of it. I'm tired, but I'm more comfortable than I am tired. The lie has become easier than the truth. That's what happens when you sit on something long enough. It becomes part of the furniture, part of who you are. Marcus called this past Sunday, same as always. Told me about Tasha's baby shower, about some trouble they're having with the new equipment at work, about a trip he and Lisa are planning for their anniversary. 30 years they'll have been married this summer. 30 years. I listened and made the right sounds and said congratulations on the anniversary and suggested some places they might go. participated fully in the fiction that their marriage is what he thinks it is. After we hung up, I thought about those 30 years. If the affair started before they got married, like those messages suggested, then it's been going on for more than 30 years. An entire marriage built alongside another relationship, parallel tracks running side by side. Marcus on one track, not knowing there's another track at all. How do you do that? How do you sustain that kind of deception for 3 decades? How do you look at your husband every day, kiss him, make love to him, raise children with him, build a life with him, all while maintaining a secret relationship with his best friend? I don't understand it. Can't get my mind around it. It seems impossible, maintaining that level of duplicity for that long. But she's done it. They've both done it, Lisa and Jerome, together in this, keeping it hidden, keeping it going year after year after year, unless it ended. That's possible too. Maybe it was only for a few years. Maybe it burned out. Maybe they stopped at some point, and now it's just a memory they both carry. Another secret in a marriage full of secrets. But I don't think so. The messages I saw didn't look like they were ending. They looked like they were routine, comfortable, ongoing. They looked like habit. And even if it did end, does that matter? The betrayal already happened. Happened years ago, kept happening. Whether it's still happening now doesn't change what it's already done to Marcus's life, to his marriage, to his ability to know the truth about his own existence. Sometimes I imagine what would have happened if I'd told him right away. If I'd gone to him that same day, pulled him aside, said I'd seen something I needed to talk to him about. If I'd been the father I should have been and given him the truth when it mattered most, he'd have been devastated. That's certain. Would have confronted Lisa. Would have confronted Jerome. The marriage probably would have ended. His friendship with Jerome definitely would have ended. There would have been lawyers, divorce, custody arrangements for the kids, teenagers then, old enough to understand what was happening, old enough to be hurt by it. It would have been a nightmare, months or years of pain, of figuring out how to rebuild, of learning to trust again. Hard, awful, necessary work. But he'd have known, he'd have had the truth, and maybe by now he'd have moved through it. Maybe he'd have found someone else, or maybe he and Lisa would have worked it out, honestly. Maybe he'd be happy in a real way, not this fake happiness built on not knowing. Or maybe not. Maybe knowing would have broken him permanently. Maybe he'd be alone now, bitter, unable to connect. Maybe telling him would have done more harm than good. I'll never know, because I chose this timeline, where he doesn't know, where I carry it for him, where we both live in different versions of reality. I remember when Marcus was a boy, maybe 10 years old, he came home from school one day crying. Some kid had been bullying him, calling him names, pushing him around. Dorothy sat him down at the kitchen table, got him to tell us what happened. And I remember what I said to him. I said, "Marcus, you tell the truth, always, even when it's hard, even when it hurts. Because a man who can't tell the truth isn't really a man at all." He looked at me with those big eyes, still wet from crying, and he nodded, believed me, took that lesson and carried it with him. And now here I am, his father, the man who taught him about truth, and I'm doing the opposite of everything I taught him to be. The hypocrisy of it burns every time I think about it. Every time I remember that conversation, that moment, that lesson I gave him about being honest and standing up for what's right. I made him believe in something I'm not even practicing myself. There was another time, when he was maybe 14, he stole something from a store. Just a candy bar, nothing big, but he got caught. Store manager called me to come get him, and on the drive home, I didn't yell at him, just told him, "The truth always comes out, Marcus. Always. You can hide it for a while, but it comes out eventually, and when it does, the hiding makes it worse. Better to face it head on, deal with the consequences, be honest from the start." He never stole again, took that lesson to heart, same as the other one. Grew up to be an honest man, a good man, someone who tells the truth even when it costs him something. And his father's been sitting on a lie for 17 years, sitting on the exact kind of secret I told him would always come out, would always make things worse the longer you hide it. I can't stop thinking about what'll happen when this does come out. Because Dorothy was right. The truth always comes out, eventually. Maybe not today, maybe not this year, but someday. Someday Lisa will slip up, or Jerome will say something, or Marcus will find an old message, or someone else will notice something I noticed. The truth has a way of surfacing, no matter how deep you bury it. And when it does, when Marcus finds out about Lisa and Jerome, he'll also find out that I knew, that his father knew and said nothing, that I watched him live in this lie for years, decades, and never thought he deserved to know the truth. That might hurt him more than the affair itself. The betrayal from his wife and best friend is one thing, but the betrayal from his father, from the man he trusted most, from the person who was supposed to protect him and guide him and love him enough to tell him hard truths. That's different. That cuts deeper. I've thought about this moment, imagined it 1,000 times. Marcus standing in front of me, his face showing the exact moment he realizes I knew all along. The confusion first, then the understanding, then the hurt. The way his voice would sound when he asks me why. Why didn't you tell me, Dad? Why did you let me live like this? Why didn't you think I deserved to know? And what would I say? That I was scared. That I thought I was protecting him. That I didn't want to hurt him. All of those things are true, but none of them are good enough. None of them justify 17 years of silence. None of them make it okay that I stole his right to know the truth about his own life. I keep coming back to that word, theft, because that's what this is. I didn't just keep a secret. I stole something from him, stole his ability to make informed decisions, stole years of his life where he could have been building something real instead of maintaining something false, stole his dignity in a way, because everyone in this situation, me, Lisa, Jerome, we all know something about him that he doesn't know himself. We all have power over him that comes from that knowledge, and he has no idea. That's not right. That's not love. That's not protection. That's control dressed up as care. The clock just struck 4, getting close to sunrise. I should try to sleep, though I probably won't. Haven't slept well in years, and nights like this, when I'm deep in it, when I can't stop thinking about all of it, sleep's impossible. I think about Jerome's mother sometimes, Catherine. She died when he was 12, and it broke him for a while. Cancer took her fast, just a few months from diagnosis to death. Marcus and Jerome were already best friends by then, and Dorothy and I, we tried to be there for Jerome, tried to give him some stability, some family feeling, when his world was falling apart. His father wasn't around, never had been, just Catherine raising Jerome alone, doing the best she could. And when she died, it was really just Jerome by himself, technically, though he spent so much time at our house that he might as well have lived with us. I remember sitting with him after the funeral. He was just a kid, 12 years old, trying not to cry, trying to be strong. And I put my arm around him, and I said, "You're family now, Jerome. You understand me? You're family. We're going to take care of you." And I meant it. Really meant it. He was family. Is family, I guess, in some complicated way that I can't untangle anymore. But family doesn't do what he did. Family doesn't betray family the way he betrayed Marcus. I gave that boy love, gave him a home, gave him everything I could give him, and he repaid my son by sleeping with his wife. For years, maybe decades. Sometimes I wonder if it started because of that closeness, because Jerome was around so much, because he and Lisa would have known each other from the beginning, from before Marcus even met her. They all ran in the same circles, all hung out together. Maybe the affair grew out of that proximity, that familiarity. Maybe it was always there, simmering under the surface, waiting for the right moment to ignite. Or maybe it was just weakness, just two people who should have known better, making choices that destroyed trust and hurt someone they both claimed to love. Not everything has a deep explanation. Sometimes people just do wrong because they want to, because it feels good in the moment, because they're not thinking about consequences. I don't know which version is true. Don't know if Jerome feels guilty, if he lies awake at night thinking about what he's done, or if he's made peace with it somehow, justified it to himself. Don't know if Lisa feels anything at all, or if betrayal comes easy to her, natural as breathing. What I do know is that I've let it continue. By staying silent, by not telling Marcus, I've allowed this betrayal to keep going, to keep festering, to keep poisoning everything it touches. I'm not just a bystander in this. I'm a participant, an enabler, someone who knows about a wrong and does nothing to stop it. That makes me complicit. That makes me guilty too. There was a 4th of July, must have been about 10 years ago now, when we all got together at Marcus's house for a cookout. Big gathering, lots of people, family and friends. Jerome was there, of course, and I remember watching him and Lisa together, watching how they moved around each other, and I couldn't tell if there was something there or if I was just seeing what I knew to look for. They didn't act suspicious, didn't exchange meaningful looks or touch inappropriately or do anything obvious. But there was a comfort between them, an ease that might have just been old friendship or might have been something more. I couldn't tell, still can't. That's the torture of knowing what I know, but not knowing the details, not knowing if it's still going on, not knowing how often they see each other, not knowing if Marcus has ever come close to finding out. I have this one piece of concrete information, those messages from 17 years ago, and everything else is speculation, imagination, paranoia. Maybe it ended years ago. Maybe they had a moment of clarity, realized what they were doing to Marcus, decided to stop. Maybe I've been carrying this weight for nothing, worrying about something that's already over. But I don't think so. Betrayal that deep, that sustained, that comfortable, that doesn't just stop, not without a reason, not without something forcing it to end. And if something had forced it to end, if Marcus had found out, or if there'd been some crisis, some breaking point, I'd have known. Marcus would have called me, would have needed me, would have fallen apart in a way I couldn't have missed. So either it's still going on, or it ended quietly, mutually, and they both just moved on like it never happened. Like those years, maybe decades, of betrayal were just a phase they went through, something they can file away and forget about. But I can't forget about it, can't file it away. It's with me every moment, every day, every conversation. It's changed how I see everything, how I understand my son's life, how I relate to the people in it. Dorothy would know what to do. I keep coming back to that, keep wishing she were here, keep imagining what she'd say. She was better at this than me, better at navigating the complicated emotional stuff, better at knowing when to push and when to wait. But she's not here, and I have to figure this out alone. Except I haven't figured anything out. I've just let time pass, let the years pile up, let the weight get heavier and heavier until I don't even remember what. It felt like to not be carrying it. There are moments when I almost tell him, moments when we're sitting together and the conversation lulls, and there's this opening, this space where I could say it, could just start talking and let it all come out. Those moments happen more often now than they used to. Maybe because I'm getting older. Maybe because I'm running out of time. Maybe because the weight is finally becoming too much to bear. But then Marcus will say something, or laugh, or his phone will ring, and the moment passes. And I let it pass. Tell myself there'll be another chance, another opening, another moment when the time feels right. But the time never feels right. How could it? There's no good time to tell your son that his wife's been cheating on him with his best friend, that you've known for 17 years, that you've been lying to him every day since you found out. There's no good time for that conversation. There's only bad times and worse times. I think about Marcus's first marriage sometimes, the one that ended when I told him about his wife's affair. He was so young then, mid-20s, just starting his career, still figuring out who he was. The divorce hit him hard, but he recovered. He was resilient. He had time to rebuild, to heal, to find love again. He's older now, 53. Still got years ahead of him. Still got time to start over if he needed to. But it's different at this age. The rebuilding is harder. The healing takes longer. The idea of starting over, of learning to trust again, of opening yourself up to someone new, that's harder at 53 than it is at 25. Maybe that's another reason I haven't told him. Because I know it would be harder for him now. Know that the devastation would go deeper, last longer, be more difficult to move through. At 25, you still believe in endless possibilities. At 53, you know better. You know that some things, once broken, stay broken. But is that a reason to keep lying to him? To let him spend the rest of his life in a false marriage with a false friend, believing in things that aren't real? To rob him of whatever years he has left where he could build something authentic? I don't know. I don't know anything anymore, except that I'm tired, and it's late, and I'm still sitting here in the dark, having the same arguments with myself that I've been having for 17 years. My body hurts these days, not just the normal aches of getting old, though there's plenty of that. But there's this other kind of hurt, this heaviness in my chest that never goes away. My doctor says my heart's fine, says all my tests come back normal, says I'm healthy for a man my age. But I know better. Know that something's wrong inside me, something that doesn't show up on tests, something that comes from carrying weight that was never meant to be carried. Grief does that to you. And that's what this is, really. A kind of grief. Grief for the father I should have been and wasn't. Grief for the relationship I should have with my son, but don't. Because there's this wall between us that he doesn't even know exists. Grief for the truth I should have told and didn't. When Dorothy died, people kept telling me that grief gets easier with time, that it doesn't go away, but it changes, becomes more manageable, hurts less. And maybe that's true for normal grief, the kind that comes from loss you couldn't prevent. But this grief, the kind I'm feeling now, doesn't get easier. It gets harder. Because every day I don't tell Marcus is another day added to the betrayal. Another day stolen from him. Another day I'm choosing wrong over right. The worst part is how normal everything seems on the surface. Marcus calls, we talk, we laugh, we make plans. The family gets together for holidays. Tasha's planning her baby shower. David's talking about buying a house. Life goes on, normal and pleasant and fine. And underneath it all is this rot, this corruption, this fundamental dishonesty that I'm maintaining with my silence. It's like living in a house with a cracked foundation. Everything looks fine from the outside. The walls are straight, the roof doesn't leak, the paint is fresh. But underneath, there's damage, structural damage that's only going to get worse. And eventually, the whole thing's going to come down. It's not a question of if, just when. And when it does, when this all comes out, and it will come out eventually, I'll be responsible not just for knowing and not telling, but for how much worse it'll be because I waited so long. Every year I stay silent makes the eventual revelation more catastrophic, makes my betrayal of Marcus's trust deeper and more unforgivable. I know this. I understand this. And still, I sit here. Still I say nothing. Still I choose comfort over courage every single day. There's a memory I keep coming back to. Marcus was maybe 6 years old, and we were out in the backyard, and he found a bird's nest that had fallen from a tree. There were 3 baby birds in it, barely alive, and Marcus was crying, upset, wanting to save them. Dorothy and I tried to explain that sometimes you can't save things, that nature is hard and cruel sometimes, that we couldn't fix this. But Marcus wouldn't accept that. He insisted we try. So we called a wildlife rescue, and they told us what to do. And we spent the next several days trying to feed these baby birds with a dropper, trying to keep them warm, trying to save them. 2 of them died anyway, but 1 lived. 1 survived and got strong enough to release back into the wild. And I remember Marcus's face when we let it go, how happy he was, how proud, how he looked at me and said, "We saved it, Dad. We didn't give up." That's the kind of person I raised, someone who doesn't give up, someone who fights for what's right, even when it's hard, someone who believes in trying, in doing the right thing, in not accepting defeat. And now that person is living a lie, and I'm the one maintaining it. I'm teaching him the opposite of everything I raised him to believe. Teaching him, without his knowledge, that sometimes you do give up. Sometimes you don't fight for what's right. Sometimes you let the lie win, because the truth is too hard. If he knew what I was doing, what I've been doing for 17 years, he'd be ashamed of me, and he'd be right to be. I hear the birds starting up outside. Must be close to 5 now, maybe 5:30. Sky's getting lighter. Another night almost over, another day about to start. Another day of carrying this weight, of living with what I know, of being someone I'm not proud of being. I'll make coffee soon. Go through the motions of starting the day. Maybe Marcus will call. Maybe he won't. If he does, I'll answer. I'll ask about his week, about Lisa, about the kids. I'll laugh at his jokes. I'll give advice if he asks for it. I'll be his father in all the ways I can manage, except the one way that matters. Except telling him the truth. Sometimes I wonder what Lisa thinks about when she sees me, when we hug at family gatherings, when we make small talk in the kitchen, when we smile at each other across the Thanksgiving table. Does she wonder if I know? Does she worry that Marcus has told me something, shared some suspicion, mentioned some doubt? Or does she feel secure in her deception, confident that she's gotten away with it, certain that the lie is safe? I can't tell. Her face gives nothing away. She's warm to me, affectionate even, calls me Dad the same way she did at her wedding, asks about my health, invites me over for dinner, includes me in their lives. If she's worried I know something, she doesn't show it. Maybe she's just that good at lying, or maybe she's so deep in the deception that it feels normal to her now, feels real. Maybe she's convinced herself that her marriage to Marcus is genuine, even though it's built on betrayal. Maybe she's compartmentalized it, somehow put the affair in one box and the marriage in another, and she doesn't see them as contradicting each other. I don't understand that kind of mind, don't understand how you live with that kind of contradiction. But then again, I'm living with my own contradiction, aren't I? Claiming to love my son while lying to him every day, claiming to value truth while maintaining a lie, claiming to be his father while failing him in the most fundamental way possible. Maybe Lisa and I aren't so different. Maybe we're both just people who made bad choices and then kept making them day after day until the bad choice became our normal, until we forgot what it felt like to do the right thing. The sun's up now. I can see it through the window, pale winter light washing across the walls. Dorothy used to love mornings, used to get up early, make coffee, sit by the window, and watch the day start. She said mornings were full of possibility, full of promise, a clean slate every day. I don't feel that anymore. Don't feel the possibility. Every morning feels like a continuation of the same day I've been living for 17 years. Same weight, same guilt, same failure. No clean slate, no fresh start. Just the same old lies dressed up in new daylight. I miss her. Miss Dorothy. Miss the way she made things make sense. The way she could cut through my confusion and see things clearly. Miss having someone to talk to who knew me well enough to call me on my bullshit, who loved me enough to tell me when I was wrong. If she were here, she'd tell me I was wrong, would have told me 17 years ago, and she'd still be telling me now. Would say, Raymond, you're failing your son. You're failing yourself. You need to tell him, and you need to tell him now. And I'd argue with her, would give her all my reasons, all my justifications, all my fears. And she'd listen, because she was good at listening, good at letting me talk myself out before she responded. And then she'd say something simple, something true, something I couldn't argue with. She'd say, if you love him, you tell him. That's what love does. It tells the truth even when the truth hurts, especially when the truth hurts. And she'd be right. She was always right about these things. But she's not here, and I'm alone with this. Alone with the weight of it, alone with the decision, alone with the consequences of all the decisions I've already made, and all the ones I'm still making every day. I should get up, should move, should start the day properly, instead of sitting here drowning in thoughts that don't lead anywhere. But I'm so tired, so heavy, so worn down by the weight of this secret that I've been carrying for what feels like forever. Just a few more minutes. Just sit here a few more minutes in the quiet before the day really starts, before I have to put on the mask again, before I have to be the person everyone thinks I am, instead of the person I actually am. Just a few more minutes in the dark, even though it's not dark anymore, even though the sun is up and the day has started, whether I'm ready for it or not. Just a few more minutes of being honest with myself about how dishonest I've been with everyone else. That's all I've got left. These moments alone in the almost dark, when I can stop pretending, stop performing, stop being the father I should be, and just be the father I am. The one who knows too much and says too little. The one who chose comfort over courage. The one who let his son live in a lie because telling the truth was too hard. That's who I am. That's who I've become. And sitting here in the morning light with another day stretching out ahead of me, full of the same lies and the same silence and the same weight, I don't know how to be anyone else anymore. Don't know if I ever can be. The phone's on the table next to me. I could pick it up right now, could call Marcus, could say, "Son, I need to talk to you about something important. Can you come over?" And when he got here, I could tell him, could finally tell him the truth. Could stop being this person I've become and try to be the person I should have been all along. But I won't. I know I won't. Because I'm sitting here thinking about it the same way I've been thinking about it for 17 years. And thinking doesn't change anything. Thinking is just another way to avoid doing. So I'll get up, make coffee, start the day. And tonight, I'll be back in this chair, in the dark, thinking the same thoughts, carrying the same weight, being the same man I've been since the day I picked up that phone and read those messages and learned a truth I was never meant to know. That's who I am now. That's who I'll be until the end. And my son will never know what I'm carrying for him, or what I'm stealing from him by carrying it, or how much I've failed him by trying to protect him. He'll just know I'm his father, the man he trusts, the man he calls every Sunday, the man he thinks is honest, who taught him about integrity and truth and doing right even when it's hard. The man who's been lying to him about the most important thing in his life for 17 years. That's the truth of what I am. That's all of it. And I'm sitting here in the morning light, and the day is starting, and I still don't know what to do with it. Still don't know how to carry it any better than I've been carrying it. Still don't know how to put it down. So I'll just keep carrying it. One more day, one more Sunday phone call, one more family dinner, where I smile and nod and participate in the lie. One more night alone in the dark, thinking about what I should do and never doing it. That's my life now. That's what I've made it. That's what I'll keep making it, day after day, until something forces a change, or until I die, still carrying this weight, still keeping this secret, still failing my son in the way that matters most. The coffee's calling. The day is waiting. Time to get up, put on the mask, be the person everyone thinks I am. Time to stop being honest with myself and start lying to everyone else. Same as yesterday, same as tomorrow, same as every day for the last 17 years. That's who I am now. That's what I've become. And I don't know how to be anything else anymore.